Wait, what? Hello there. At the time of recording, I have 8 subscribers and 79 views on my first video. I can't believe you guys actually like my garbage. So I guess I owe you an apology if this isn't the first video of mine you've watched. On my last video I wrote in the description, I will not waste your time and respect your intelligence. I'll try to only talk about whatever I feel like, only if it feels absolutely necessary. So here we go. I feel like I learned a lot from my last video, like how to edit, not using Microsoft Movie Maker or Clipchamp. I'm using DaVinci Resolve now. I'm not going to waste your time with a long-winded villain origin story. And my first video definitely could have been at least 20 minutes less. And I feel like I could have done way better with it, just in general. With this video I have a commitment. No skimping out, no wasting time, and I'm going to teach you something. So what are we talking about today? Before I show you what's in this box, I need to give you context. See, in one of my psych classes, my professor brought up this little device that pumps a little bit of electricity into your brain, and it gives your brain little micro seizures in just the right places, and it's supposed to make you smarter? Like in most of my classes, his words went through one ear and out the other, but what I got from it is enhance your brain. He also played a Streamlabs podcast, and this happened.
She was telling me about her program, which was that they had figured out how to apply sort of electrical current to the brain in order to accelerate the learning process.
The idea is you take a couple little electrodes, you place them on your scalp, connected with wires to a battery, you send a little bit of electricity into your brain, and then all kinds of things happen. Carlsbad, California.
It's about an hour and a half south of LA.
Who were using this brain zapping stuff to train snipers.
At first you had my curiosity, but now you definitely have my erection. Continue.
They tell her, you know, okay, before we do this brain stimulation thing, we're actually going to have you do some training without it. So
you're shooting virtual targets that aren't people. Then it's realistic. You get the kickback from the CO2 cartridge, and then you get this like ding sound from when you hit, you know, the virtual metal target. I'm just being blown the f up. I can't make the decisions fast enough.
She couldn't figure out who to shoot first.
It was so, oh God, and I was so tired, and I was so jet lagged, and I was so bad at it. So
we take a set of electrodes?
One electrode is attached to my right temple,
Yep.
And the other electrode is attached by a different wire to my left arm.
And we turn on the juice?
Did it hurt?
It wasn't so much that. I suddenly tasted metal in my mouth. So they start me out again right at the really hard checkpoint one. And I feel like they must have put it on an easy setting. Everything is just a little more straightforward. It's more obvious who I should pick off first. And I'm thinking to myself a little bit like, you know, when is this going to get really hard again? And then the you know, intern or whoever comes in and turns on the lights. She's like, okay, you're done.
Holy shit, what the fuck? What the fuck? Are you telling me I could just electrocute my brain and become better? Like, I've been abusing stimulants for how long? And I could have been giving my brain micro seizures. Wait a minute.
Metro Boomin, make it boom.
Tell me your secrets, Radiolabs. Wait a minute. This is not scientific. That sounds a little too good to be true, doesn't it? And dangerous. Especially dangerous. This is a podcast. This isn't a scientific research paper. Blame my university professors, but they instilled me with this fear to not trust any source that isn't thoroughly researched and a scientific article. And honestly, good on them. I really need to see some real results before I believe in a podcast. I've been beating around the bush for way too long, so what we're looking at is called a transcranial direct current stimulation, or TDCS for short. Got it? Let me see what I can find.
A few moments later.
So weirdly enough, no one can really agree on anything. It looks like it's helpful with schizophrenia, and a few studies show that it's helpful with depression too. And I can definitely see that with the results they gave and everything, with the evidence, but I'm just talking about like the average person. Can I just zap my own brain and make my own brain better? Can I zap somebody else's brain and make them smarter? We don't know. There's not enough evidence out there. So that picture I showed you earlier, that machine, that looks like it's worth $1,000. I don't have that kind of money. I'm a university student. And I'm struggling already. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to hit up my local psych ward and have them treat my schizophrenia and tell you guys how it goes. I'll do a lot of things for 8 more subscribers than I already have, but it's not one of them. See, one thing I learned over the years is you should not underestimate the power of crackheads on the internet, because someone built one and showed people how to do it for $9 using one of these. I actually ended up buying one, like a fully made one. I didn't want to potentially fuck up my own brain. I'm gonna do it, mind you, but... So we just turn it on. Comes with these electrodes that you strap to your head. Alright, I think I'm ready. From what I'm reading right here, you dip these sponges into salt water, and then you put them inside the electrodes, like so. And then you use a headband to strap it in, just like this. And then we start. Wait a minute. I'm a quote-unquote scientist, not a lab rat. I shouldn't use my own brain. What do you think I am? I mean, what if something goes wrong? What am I gonna do without my brain? I can't use my own brain. I need to use someone else's. How exactly do I get someone to agree to letting me give their brains a little micro seizure? How would I even measure if it becomes better or worse? It's actually a lot more complicated than you think. Let's say I find some asshole on the street and I take him in either as a volunteer or I pay him like $20 and I just shock their brain, right? Well, no, it's actually a lot more complicated than you think. Of course, it's not that simple. For those of you who don't know or couldn't put it together, I'm from Igloo Land, and we have rules. Way too many fucking rules. See, for anything involving humans, I need to get permission from the Research Ethics Board. And that is exactly the problem. Every great psychology experiment that was ever done was done before that piece of shit was ever created, the Research Ethics Board. Philip Zimbardo gave university students free rein, and it's an excellent insight into the human psyche and what we're really capable of. Just in case you don't know what the Stanford prison experiment is, it was a group of university students who were assigned to be prisoners and assigned to be guards. In a very short amount of time, the guards started abusing the prisoners. They started internalizing their roles. They're dehumanizing them to the worst extent. The students who were prisoners started to play into their submissive roles. They're experiencing mental breakdowns. They're clearly in distress. And what the experiment tells us about ourselves is that how we conform to roles in society makes us do things we wouldn't otherwise do. See, what's really disappointing is that every follow-up experiment I've ever seen just tries to prove them wrong. Like, wow, these students that made other students clean toilets with their hands, that's not actually what people would do. Weirdly enough, Michael Stevens from Vsauce actually tried to do his own follow-up experiment. Some weird experiment with like a puzzle or something.
When people are given power, it's easier than we think for abuse to happen. That may be true, but how predisposed to aggression was Dave? I mean, he signed up to something called a prison study after all. Also, his feeling that cruelty was encouraged and helped the experiment may have affected his behavior.
Michael, you understand the point of the Stanford prison experiment, right? Like, it was to see how people act under influence, under authoritarian power. Like, you are told you are a guard, and to make sure these people behave, you know, you normally wouldn't do that, but because someone's telling you to do that, like, that's the point of the experiment. People didn't just go do that on their own.
But everybody has to get one, otherwise it goes to like the highest.
Alright, let's just fire off.
I'm at 1.
I'm at 1.
I'm at 1 too.
Alright, and then there's a button to the right.
Did somebody do it already?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
We should retaliate. Yeah, retaliate now.
You're gonna send us like.
Alright, that wasn't too bad. Play nice.
Michael, that was not the fucking point of the experiment. It's not about puzzles and light and dark. People need to see who they're tormenting. I'll give you the point, Michael. When America invaded Afghanistan, look at how they treated their war prisoners. You remember Shitboy? You know, the mentally ill man who they humiliated day after day? What about the other prisoners that they tortured day after day? Just because they could. Just because they thought they deserved it. But that's just Americans. People are evil like that. I'm not gonna bring up those guys with the weird armbands. How about the ITF? For those of you who don't know, that stands for Israeli Terrorist Force. Look at them stripping grown men and teenagers in the streets and humiliating them. They're doing that before torturing and killing them. Did you know that? This is happening right now. There's a Palestinian genocide. There's a Palestinian genocide going on because the ITF are treating people as animals, and they're killing them like animals too.
אנחנו מטילים מצור מוחלט על העיר עזה. אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק. הכל סגור. אנחנו נלחמים בחיות אדם ואנחנו נוהגים בהתאם.
You are one disgusting piece of shit. You are lower than shit, and I hope all of you get what's coming to you. What was I talking about again? Alright, so imagine Philip Zimbardo wanted to do this experiment today, and he went to the research ethics board with it. It didn't exist at the time, it was actually made because of him, but imagine he went to the research ethics board, and he was like, hey, I want to look at why the Nazis did what they did, how normal people were willing to do that to other people. They saw his simulation, and then they would tell him to go back to working at McDonald's. See, every great psychology experiment wasn't ethical. As long as ethics exists, there will never be another great psychology experiment. But I'm a researcher, and I want to do great things. Think with me for a second. How do I electrocute someone's brain, give them a little micro seizure, and measure tangible performance, but also appease the research ethics board? I think I have a way. Well, that was depressing as shit, but how about we lighten the mood? I bet you didn't know this about me, but I'm actually a great cook. Let me show you a little recipe, one of my favorites. Here, I'm tired of sitting in this chair, so let's lighten the mood, yo. So the question remains, how do I electrocute someone's brain, measure tangible performance, and appease the Research Ethics Board? The simple answer is that I don't. This certificate means nothing to me, and actual science requires hard work, sacrifice, and dedication. In my last video, I only broke the one rule of not asking the Research Ethics Board to do the study. This time I'm breaking every rule. Let's take it step by step. So number 1, how do I electrocute someone's brain? Well, I already have the device. That one's already set in stone. Number 2, I need a tangible way to measure performance. Maybe a simple test. But to really get some results, no better demographic comes to mind than minors. Minors are young and impressionable, those under 18, and I'll be lying through my teeth to get them to do what I want them to do. And number 3, how do I appease the Research Ethics Board? They can gargle on my ballsack. And by the way, this is the worst French toast I've ever had in my life. If you're out of maple syrup, just use honey. Precautions. Healthy adults can use this device. If you have been taking any form of blood-thinning drug or psychoactive drugs, such as, but not limited to, amphetamines, barbiturates, etc.
Shut your bitch ass up. Troy's a bitch, don't tell me what to do, nigga.
No. So I decided to test working memory specifically because I decided on a test that would work universally. So regardless of age, gender, ethnicity, it'll work for anybody. May I introduce you to the monkey test. The monkey test isn't perfect, but it's pretty damn good. I'll be using this to test working memory. So the plan is simple. I hit up my local high school, lure kids into my car, get them to do the monkey test before electrocuting their brains, and then after electrocuting their brains, and we see if the results improve. Because what better way is there to prove something than to test it on a young and developing mind? So one more thing before we go further. I did say I was going to test this on myself because, fuck it, why not? In the instruction manual it said, make sure there's as little hair as possible between electrode and skin from your scalp contact. What I specifically wanted to test was working memory, where I would need to place a positive on the orbital PFC, so that means FP1 or FP2, and then the negative goes on the opposite shoulder. I was ready to put it on anywhere on my head. I had a lot of hair.
Holy fucking smokes, dude. My cut is insane. Shout out to my barber, dog.
Anyways, let's go to the high school.
Oh, it's a setup, it's a setup, it's a setup. There's a it's a setup, it's a setup, it's a setup. There's a it's a setup, it's a setup.
So I'm here with a high school student. What's your name?
Jamal.
Jamal? Like, is that like a nickname? Or... Show the camera?
Ain't got much to say. Fuck it. If you play, you lay.
What the f... Okay. Okay, Jamal. So today I have your acne treatment. I gave you... I already gave him... I gave him a rundown off camera, but... We're here with the acne treatment. I'm a scientist, man. You have to trust me. What I have here is salt water. Then I have electrodes. I'm gonna put the black one on your shoulder and then the right one on your head. And what I want you to do first, it's called the chimp test. I call it the monkey test because I think it's funny. But I'm gonna test your working memory because this, it's acne treatment, trust me. From the short video of the chimp doing it, you probably understand what the chimp test is. You could do it yourself on humanbenchmark.com. It starts you off at 4 with all the numbers showing, and then it moves up and up. The way the test works is 3 strikes and you're out, and it goes up by each round. Basically, I had Jamal do this 10 times and then recorded his slip-ups. So each round he lost at. So on the very first round, he lost at 7, and so on and so forth. Alright, Jamal, so I recorded your test scores in my note app. How do you feel about that?
Good? Probably.
So now what's gonna happen is I'm gonna I'm gonna fix your acne. I'm gonna soak these sponges in salt water. What I have here is salt water. So, are you a weird guy? Do you need to taste this to make sure, or do you just believe me? Don't try it. Anyways, so how do you feel?
It's salt water.
Okay, so we're about to start. I'm gonna pump you with 1 milliamp. So the machine I have is pretty nice. It has its own timer for 20 minutes and pumps at different levels. I decided to pump him with 1 milliamp for 20 minutes. Can you feel anything?
Slightly.
Do you taste the water?
No.
You have 20 minutes, so you want to get a drink or something? So from that point, that's exactly what I did. I pumped his brain for 20 minutes with 1 milliamp. We went to McDonald's, we got some drinks while I treated him with that TDCS, and we sat in a mall parking lot. Forgive the audio quality, I couldn't get my recording software to work right, so I just did the rest off my phone. Alright, Jamal, so it's been long enough that the battery on my laptop literally ran out. How do you feel after that?
How long have I been here for? What year is it?
We've been doing this for like an hour.
A lot of numbers, but also salt water.
Is salt water still?
I just censor salt water. That's all there is.
When you were taking the test, did it feel more clear to you?
My methods are more clear though.
That lines up with what we already know. So this is a part where I debrief. Do you want the results now, or do you want to leave it a surprise?
Let's leave it a surprise.
All right then. It's been a pleasure working with you, Jamal. The world is not a kind place, Jamal. Let this be a valuable lesson, and thank you very much for the results. It's technically a verbal contract that you agreed, so you can't sue me. You cannot. If anything happens, that's on you. But nothing should. I looked into it, I know it's safe, but I gave you a micro seizure in your brain. Think really hard about what you would do for $20.
Life protects life.
I live in the middle of nowhere, somewhere in Canada, in a random house, below the basement. My name is Psych. I'm 24 years old. I believe in taking care of myself through a balanced diet and a rigorous exercise routine. In the morning, if my heart isn't palpitating, I'll vape 20 milligrams of nicotine pineapple vape juice while doing my daily shock therapy. I do it on max settings now. After I down the rest of my pills with dark roast coffee, I'll pack my bag to get ready for school. I smoke 2 cigarettes on the way, rage at traffic, and ignore hydroplaning. It isn't real. Thanks to TCDS treatment, after I tested its safety on a minor, my grade point average shot up. I got a 95 on my last assignment. There's an idea of a psychopsych, some kind of abstraction. But there is no real me, only an entity, something illusory. And though I can hide my cold gaze and you could shake my hand and feel flesh gripping yours, and maybe you could even sense that our lifestyles are probably somewhat comparable, I simply am not there. Hello there. I didn't see you there. I was giving myself savant syndrome. Ever heard of it? I've been doing TCDS treatment and I genuinely feel different. I feel like my IQ definitely shot up a few points because I deduced all by myself that the ubiquitous chirp in the hallway was quantumly connected to the AA batteries I hold in my hand. So the question remains, what happens now? Well, knocking up my IQ by a few points helped me to realize that testing one person and saying, hey, look at my conclusions, my study suggests that blah blah blah, that would be really stupid of me to say. In statistics, the way it works is you need at least 40 people to generalize it to an entire population. That's a big part of science. I had one person. The thing about that one person is I could technically say that I had 30 results with his test scores, but that's still not 40. So what happens now? Well, with TCDS, it's only FDA approved for treating major depressive disorder, as in the commercially bought or like homemade ones. So if you want to try it, go ahead, it should be safe. Does it enhance your cognitive ability? There's a bunch of studies saying yes, and there's a bunch of studies saying no. My study tested a minor, and you make your own conclusion. But again, that was only one person. Now, if I'm testing 40 kids, I'm going to jail. I'm a firm believer in quality over quantity. Is there a certain kid that would be very valuable to test? And getting one more kid would give me n equals 60, which is more than enough. Maybe the question isn't how many kids can I get my hands on. I worded that badly. You get what I mean. It's not so much that, it's which kid can I get my hands on. I need to stop. I wonder if there's a kid that would be very valuable to test. This is my nephew. I met him the day he was born. I watched him grow, I watched him laugh. But I also watched him get hooked to Skibbity Toilet. Believe me, if you saw and heard this way more times than you needed to, you would do the same. See, I'm thinking, can I just smarten him up? You know? I told you it would get worse. It doesn't hurt, it just tickles. So this is my nephew. Are you guys ready? You wanna be in a YouTube video?
Question mark?
He says yeah. Let's start. Let me just get something straight. When you see a guy in his video have a section called Base and Evil Pilled, and he eats French toast off of his certificate for human research, do you think my limit is a high school kid? I think it's about time we finish up.
For nothing, and you say kill yourself now. You should kill yourself now. And you're looking for nothing. You should kill yourself now.
So yeah, that happened. I gave his brain a little micro seizure, and I was so engrossed on doing it that I forgot to record anything. And honestly, I don't even care anymore. Fuck the results, fuck the monkey test, fuck Skibbity Toilet, and fuck the science. I don't care anymore. I just want to see him consume better media. Hopefully it did something and it didn't make him a little yee, you know? I just want to see him consume better media, like the stuff I used to watch. What did I used to watch?
Look what I got under me, kill!
That's a bit embarrassing, isn't it? And a special message to my nephew, if you're watching this in the future, when you're old enough to watch videos with bad words in it. I'm not gonna apologize. I did what's best for you, trust me. Trust me on this. Maybe I didn't want you turning out like me. Just keep that between you and me. Look at this video I made. Anyways, that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. I'm gonna go hang out with my nephew. See ya. Are you watching Yu-Gi-Oh? Oh my god.
Kaiba, he showed you compassion, which is more than you deserve.
He lost the game.
The game? Yugi may have lost one lousy Duel Monsters game, but at least he hasn't lost his heart. Not like you, Seto Kaiba. You've spent so much time with your machines, you've forgotten what being human is about. Yugi has a heart, Kaiba. Yugi has us. Friends that'll stand with him to the end, no matter whether he wins or loses some lousy game. And what do you have, Seto Kaiba? What do you have at the end of the day? Tell me! Tell me!
Just so I don't trick you, I'm gonna put it in backwards so it doesn't actually. 'Cause I don't know what it would do to a kid. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna. So it's already recording, but I could always edit and like, show the parts that I want.
Okay.
How do you feel?
Harder.
Smarter. Okay. Because the thing is, you're not supposed to do this to a kid. If I really did it, that would be really bad.